In this video, I'm painting a train. I'm expecting this to be the last one that features a cat in it. I got so used to having a subject matter decided for me. And when you have a theme already set out for you, it's easy to fall into the habit of just painting cats. The reason I'm painting a train is because I was invited, which always makes me feel so good. I was invited to participate in a juried exhibition about trains, just like last year. And I already had a deadline coming up for like the mini paintings from last week and a commission and this and that. And I thought, I don't have time. I would have only had 2 weeks to make something and I felt kind of burnt out already. So I said, no, thank you. And they said, are you sure? Because the prize money is quite good this year. And you don't actually have to have the finished work until the delivery day, which was a month later. And so I thought, I think I could probably do a month. And I said yes, and so I submitted forms and wrote an artist statement for like a painting that I hadn't even started making yet, and I put it on the back burner for a bit so I could finish the things I was working on. And then I started this, and I couldn't get through it. And it's not that I wasn't interested. The references I have were fresh in my mind. I actually really wanted to do one about this really cool train car that we saw at the ghost town, and it was made of wood, which we thought was really interesting. So coming up with the idea wasn't difficult. Trying to cram it within the theme of the show, which was about the impact of railways in the region since 1886, Fraser Valley in the Lower Mainland. And it's really hard to fit art into those things, especially when I wanted to kind of model it after something and probably never actually functioned on this side of the country. But if I were to make something that is personable and related to me, it's gotta be just like the experience of being a public transit user in a medium-sized city, medium in population but large in like sprawl. But to be able to do that without a car, we have so much access to parks, to be able to do these forest walks, seeing the world on a macro level. And I wouldn't be able to do that without our long established transportation lines. And that's why I kind of wanted to paint this old train in a lush field with birds and butterflies, perfect blue skies, and this cat's coming off and he's just taking a nice deep breath of the fresh air and inspiration that makes life actually kind of worth living. It would be a very broad, very stretched out definition of interurban, I think, to call it that. So I did sort of obscure the front of the car to make it so you can't really quite tell. Anyway, so I had my sketch. I had a really shaky premise. I had the materials. I caught up with things enough that I finally had the time. And I started this painting. The drawing didn't look right. The perspective is probably quite wonky, but I don't know, it was bothering me. And I did the dark windows in the Payne's gray. And I hated it. I looked at my sketch, and the colors that I used in that sketch were random. But they were really nice. Couldn't figure out why. Like, why couldn't I just do this thing? I had it planned out. It's not like I didn't want to or was bored of it or anything like that. But I think I was just really overwhelmed in general. Like, my head was just so full.
I'm too tired. All I want to do is eat grass.
You want to eat grass?
If I'm not doing this stuff, I'm not really resting. It feels like resting when you're scrolling social media or whatever, but sometimes there's too much sensory stimulation. And I'm looking at a list called 8 types of rest that artists need. This is from coachingforcreativewellness.com. Physical rest, emotional rest, spiritual rest, meaning having a connection to your sense of purpose and self-worth. Mental rest, how many thoughts are racing through your mind. Social rest, maybe you are draining too much energy talking to people, or you don't get enough energy because you haven't been talking to people that you like. Sensory rest, like I was just describing. Are you overstimulated by sight or sounds? Creative rest, which I guess is like refilling the creative well, getting inspiration, and financial rest, so maybe your spending is a little out of control or uncomfortable right now. And I didn't have this list with me when I was working on this painting, and so it was just felt like I was trying to push against a current. It was kind of like trying to go into a cold lake and doing it really slowly. I made a really difficult decision for me. I stopped and I went to my friend's house. We had some nice long walks. We were able to do a mock setup of our market tent, kind of, which alleviated a lot of the stress that I think we were subconsciously fighting. And we talked about pricing and we made a plan and all that was sorted out. And so I could kind of feel myself relaxing. And yes, technically you might be able to call some of what we were doing work planning, but also just stepping away from your life for a second. And as soon as I got back, I felt a little bit renewed to come back to a partner who was very even-tempered and supportive, to come back to a snuggly little furry animal that lives in her house, my cat, and to come back with a plan as for how to approach the things that I left behind. That was definitely an example of how rest saved my painting. It allowed me to come up with a new plan and to have something to look forward to. Made a kind of scary decision in painting these windows a bright green, but the way that that green reflected off of the grass in the front, and it turned the whole thing more cohesive, and then suddenly it was almost as if the picture just appeared out of the paper, as if it was there the whole time, and just, hello, like this is who you wanted me to be, and here I am. And after that, the painting became much easier, and I was finally able to finish it after weeks of procrastinating and struggling, and all I had to do was walk away from it. I'd love to know about your experience with this. Have you ever successfully combated a kind of artist block with a brief moment of rest? Let me know how that went for you. Thanks for watching, wish me luck with this painting, and I'll see you next time.